All right, ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, we are going to be talking about a new group that has decided to show its face in the conversation surrounding censorship. This all started from a particular video, this particular video that a lot of you guys probably recognize if you utilize X, because this video has a woman straight up lying about different things regarding censorship and adult content, and even Grok AI saying that it's easily accessible by children, but continuing to not only lie straight up, but also lie by omission and not tell people the truth about how Grok AI can't even be accessed unless you pay $30 to access the service. But according to these people, this thing is easily accessible by kids. You gotta think about the kids. They're all using the same garbage talking points because, well, they saw it work for Collective Shout. So now that one group got what they wanted, all these groups are going to come out and try to get what they want. So we're going to start here and we're going to cover Fight the New Drug. We also got some posts from Madam Savvy who went into it a little bit deeper regarding Fight the Drug group. And we even got some news, some updates regarding censorship, regarding VPNs, because even VPNs are getting banned, especially in the UK. They're stopping access to VPNs when you try to utilize them. We got all kinds of nonsense we got to go over. So this group called Fight the New Drug made the following post attacking Grok's new AI companion and says Grok's new AI companion bot is just another example of how normalized porn has become in our society. And just because it's AI or animated doesn't mean it's harmless, especially when kids have access. You got to think of the kids. You got to think of the kids, right? This is how they always try to get themselves in. They can't succeed on their arguments. They never can, right? They never can succeed on their arguments. So every time they present their argument, they always got to present something that is going to get people emotional. I say this all the time, and it's always kids. They always use children. It's funny. The ones who claim they are protecting kids are the ones that use the kids for their agenda more than anybody ever does, right? It's an absolute bullshit narrative that they know is bullshit, but they push it anyway. So curious how anime porn can be harmful? Learn more here. And they post this video here. It's about a 47-second video where you're going to learn more. I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to learn a damn thing other than how to gaslight people into believing that you actually know what you're talking about. So let's check out this clip and see what she has to say. Here we go.
Oh, we should probably talk about this new AI girlfriend thing on X. So Grok just recently released 2 companion AI bots, one of which is an over-sexualized blonde anime girl named Annie. Now, Annie's entire job is to flirt with you. And the more that you engage in these...
Do you think that she would be complaining about the over-sexualization of an AI bot if the AI bot was perhaps, I don't know, Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3? Or maybe some form of a dragon lizard man who talks about railing women who read dark fantasy books? Do you think that she would be complaining about over-sexualization of anything? Or do you think she's only angry because it's an anime girl that she's envious of? Or just a girl in general, right? You got to start asking questions and calling out this absolute bullshit. And honestly, seeing the crazy in the eyes. Because we can all see the crazy in the eyes, right? These eyes tell more about what you need to know versus anything that she's saying right now about Grok AI. But keep in mind, these companions, you have to pay money in order to access these companions. They're not just given to you for free. You're not just going to be, gooning with Annie. You're not going to be gooning with Annie for free. But here's the gaslighting she says. Look at this
girl named Annie. Now, Annie's entire job is to flirt with you. And
no, it's not, by the way. Annie's entire job is not to flirt with you. Annie's entire job is to talk to you and do basically as much of what you want it to do as possible. Some people utilize it to flirt. Some people utilize it for information. Some people utilize it for the lulz. But because some people utilize it for, I guess you could call it gooning, you want to make it seem as if that's her entire job. That is literally all she exists for. Yeah, it's just more
live. The more that you engage in these types of interactions, the more sexualized they can become.
It's essentially a modern take on a phone sex line.
Now, this is really scary because Grok is available for kids starting at age 30.
Now, that's also a massive lie, by the way. That is a massive lie. To call it a modern day phone sex line is ridiculous because when you call a phone sex line, You are calling it with one mission and one mission only. That is not what it is for Grok AI.
It's essentially a modern take on a phone sex line.
Now, this is really scary because Grok is available for kids starting at age 13. And even with parental features in place, users report still being able to access this content. And if that's not enough Black Mirror energy for you, nearly 3 out of 4 teens report using AI companions like this, and nearly 1 in 10 specifically for romantic or sexual interactions. Now, we know that porn is dangerous, period, but especially for kids. So
how do you know what? How do you know that? How do you know? Wait. Go back.
And if that's not enough Black Mirror energy for you, nearly
wait, she said that Grok is available
for
age
kids
13?
Starting at age 13.
What? Bro, you have to pay access to get to Grok AI Companion.
And even with parental features in place, users report still being able to access this content.
Where are the reports? Where are the reports of anybody 13 years old accessing Grok AI for goonin?
And if that's not enough Black Mirror energy for you, nearly 3 out of 4 teens report using AI companions like this, and nearly 1 in 10 specifically for romantic or sexual interactions. Now, we know that porn is dangerous, period, but especially...
She says period, but then doesn't actually cite anything. She doesn't actually say a single thing about how it's actually dangerous. Says absolutely nothing, but wants you to believe me, bro. She's like, yeah, porn is dangerous, period. Obviously, right? Everybody knows that, right? Clearly. Bro, she's absolutely insane.
Especially for kids. So what do you think about this?
I think you're insane. I like how she says, especially for kids, but porn is not meant for kids. Porn is meant for adults. If kids are watching porn, that means they're doing it behind their parents' back. They're sneaking it or whatever the case may be. And the parents, unfortunately, are enabling them to have a computer that doesn't have parental controls on. I mean, at this point, you people that want to censor the entire world in order to create a nanny state? You want to be able to tell people what they can and cannot do? Think of the children. The parents should be thinking of the children. You should be thinking of yourself. But in any case, let's continue because this entire thing is obviously all just complete BS. So she's getting roasted. Vex in the game urinalist says, you make a lot of assertions in the video, but present no evidence and cite no sources. This includes the assertion that porn is dangerous, period. How about your source for that assertion? Let's start there. What is your source for this claim? And then they end up posting absolute garbage fucking studies that are all done essentially by them or people who they pay to try to bolster their own argument. But everybody knows this shit is absolute garbage, right? They're like, oh, here is some sources that you can study. You can access hundreds of academic studies about the various harms of porn here, right? So these are just people that are heavily against freedom of expression. Savvy says, Jesus Christ, $45 for a shirt. Of course, they're trying to sell merchandise, right? Of course they are. $45 for a shirt. Savvy says, you guys really hate the concept of autonomy and parents parenting. I find it odd, almost like it's a confession that you didn't have structure. Why else would you feel the need to control someone else's? I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that. These are the people that have done some of the dirtiest stuff in their life, and yet they must be inner, like repenting or something. They think that by trying to convince someone else not to do it, that somehow absolves them of what they did, right? That somehow gives them some sort of like forgiveness for what they did in their life. They think by controlling people, censoring things, you're saving other people from going down the rabbit hole that you would go down if you had access to this stuff. When they say porn is dangerous, they're projecting and saying porn is dangerous for people like them, so they can't see it and they want it banned because they can't stop watching. That's really what it is. But in any case, we all know you only reference junk science and don't actually care to engage with facts. So I would just have to look at your post history. Let's see who you lot really are. That's bad. That's bad. If you got Madam Savvy, Macho Ma'am, Savvy coming out here and destroying people, probably not a good thing. So Madam Savvy then continues and says, 30 seconds of research to find out that you haven't made a peep about the movie Cuties or even about the movie Sound of Freedom. Not a peep about the gang cover up in the UK. They reference junk science to attempt to make a point, but will not engage with actual studies. They also try to force the presentation of Annie as sexual, but all of that is user prompted. And this is exactly my point. This is what I've been saying the entire video. They are trying to gaslight people watching that clip and trying to convince you that Annie is strictly for sex. That's all she is for. She's only for gooning, and that is it. As if Annie the AI can't do anything else. That's what they're trying to convince you guys that Grok AI Annie is. That's what they're doing. But the simple truth is that that's not what it is. It's only if the user prompts it. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Then she says, anyway, worth looking into where they got their money. Their LinkedIn, 30-second yields jarring hypocrisy already. What would 30 minutes find? We'll have to put them on the back burner for now as I wrap up some other reads. None of these groups care about kids. They want to feel important with their armchair emails because feminism only happens under air conditioning. Oh my God, that is a great statement. That is a great statement. Feminism only happens under air conditioning. What she means is that, and I'm sure you guys understand, but I'll say it anyway for people that don't. What she means is that essentially feminism only happens under pure and utter comfort and privilege. That's the only time feminism actually happens. That's the only time they ever do anything. When they're extremely comfortable, when they're under air conditioning, right? When there is no risk whatsoever. That's when feminism is at its prime. Otherwise, when things become uncomfortable, when they got to go out there and get dirty, guess what ends up happening? They call men to do it. They get men to do the job, get men to do the dirty work, get men to do the maintenance work, right? That's the only time feminism suddenly goes away and nobody's talking about it. But once they're very comfortable, once things are just going gloriously, well, now suddenly feminism is a thing and we all need to listen, right? So Madam Savvy has discovered that this group that supposedly cares about little kids never once talked about cuties, never once talked about the content within Sound of Freedom, never once talked about any of that, but for some reason wants to talk about Grok Annie AI. It makes you wonder why that is. So in this world where everything is being censored now, it seems, we have a lot of crazy things happening all at once, but this is why we are continuing to cover this to the best of our ability, and everybody is handling it in their own way and covering everything they can find. This particular group caught my interest because they tend to show their ugly head, right? They tend to show their ugly head when there are other groups that are winning. And like Savvy said, feminism only wants to talk when it's comfortable. Well, Fight the New Drug probably feels like they're comfortable now because other groups have got to win. And now that they've got to win, now they feel like it's comfortable enough to go out there and talk about censoring more stuff, knowing that if they did this a couple of months ago, they would have got so much backlash that the company probably would have went private over on X. And of course, they're all targeting Elon Musk because why not, right? Elon Musk is the big bad guy. Elon Musk is the one that took everything away from them. So they're trying to do everything they can to take down Elon Musk. And of course, this group is doubling down, says porn is the second most common form of trafficking, according to reports made to the National Human Trafficking Hotline. You can't fight sex trafficking without acknowledging where the demand is coming from. Stop the demand. Again, they're literally telling you that you are not allowed to want to see any form of sexual expression on screen. That is literally it. They see porn and sex and everything. Yes, I agree. They see literally porn and sex in everything. Their entire lives are dedicated around porn and sex, hypersexualization, whatever. They're the ones that will walk into a room and see sex while everybody else is just hanging out. That is literally it. With most teens exposed to porn by 13, it's crucial to educate young people on its harms. Fight the New Drugs live presentations are educational, engaging, and impactful for all audiences of all ages. So this particular group seems to have a hard-on for just porn, right? Which kind of has some crossover with Collective Shout, because Collective Shout has a hard-on for porn games, right? Or at least that's what they're telling people. What they really want to do is censor pretty much everything. But they have a hard-on for porn, and this is what this group is going over. And this is what they've been going after for a long time now. So you guys can let me know, what do you think about all of this stuff in the comments down below. Oh, look at this. Hold on. Wait, before we go, we got some pictures here. The presentation helps students see that porn is bad for them, rather than saying that they are bad people if they view porn. That is an important distinction. I had gotten some pushback from parents and staff about hosting this event, but every parent who attended the parent meeting gave their okay for the student to attend the student event. And then the staff member who had some reservations about the topic said it was actually really good. I think the students learned a lot. It has opened doors for parents and their children to have healthy conversations about the topic and other topics as well. You know what's amazing? So, of course, number one, when you ask someone about their experience during things like this, they're almost never going to be honest with you, right? almost none of them are going to be honest with you. They're all going to tell you it was amazing. They're always going to tell you they learned something. They're all going to tell you, yeah, this was great. And this is all fake comments to bolster your narrative, right? But at the end of the day, the people who went to this event, what do you think most of them did when they got home late at night? What do you think most of them did? They did a little bit of gooning, right? So you out here trying to pretend like all these people suddenly were redeemed because they went to your little whatever showcase or whatever. Let's be honest here. You're full of shit, right? So you guys let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about this entire nonsense with this particular group? What do you think about the the constant demand for censorship, not just in video games, but in general, in life and whatnot, or especially when it comes to porn? Let me know whatever it is you think in the comments down below, whether you agree or disagree. Thank you guys so much for liking this video, and consider subscribing if you are new here, as we are on the road to 96,000 subscribers. And I will see you guys on the next one.